This is Critical Commentary with Maurice Williams. Today we'll be covering the Israel-Iran war, Netanyahu's proof for life, Tucker Carlson being investigated by the CIA, and we'll be reacting to some Nick Fuentes clips for you guys. Blacks, Hispanics, and whites can't read. Why you think I started a podcast? It's a fucking racist thing with you niggas, and that's why I'm coming at you niggas next. They love to talk about black violence. Have you heard of white violence? White people commit violent crime at 3 times the rate of Asians. When is Nick Fuentes going to talk about white violence? Everybody's arguing about their 2 genders. I sat next to her hermaphrodite in math class. Am I allowed to talk about the Jews? If she wanted, we could do it in the morning. Yawning, letting my eyes stretch, baby, I ain't a novice. I've been a dog, she FaceTime, but I never call. So the Israel-Iran war is entering week 3. Israel's actually expanding into Lebanon now. So America said that this would be a short war and is already in week 3, and there's not necessarily an end in sight. Originally, we thought America was saying that they preemptively bombed Iran because they wanted to stop Iran from bombing us. And the details of what America wanted to receive were kind of shady. They weren't in black and white. We didn't know exactly what America was trying to get. We still don't know that, but what we do know is that Iran has surprised America and Israel with their ability to strike Israeli targets and strike American targets in the region. So Iran has struck bases in Qatar, the UAE. They struck other American assets in Iraq, as well as Israel. And it's gotten to the point now where some civilians in Israel have been hit because the Iron Dome that Israel has had for not centuries, but decades now, it's been defeated because Iran is shooting so many small drones. So one of the situations currently going on is America and Israel don't agree when they should stop the war, because on the home front, a lot of Americans aren't in support of the war. So Trump is trying to end this war quickly, but Israel's already expanded into other territories. So outside of just Iran, they've gone into Lebanon, and they're talking about going other places where Hezbollah is. So, which is usually the case, America and Israel's agenda doesn't line up and their goals don't line up. But as always, we follow Israel because they say we're their greatest ally, and we have I don't want to call it a treaty, but we have a relationship with them where even if we disagree with them, if they are in war, we put our money behind them and we put our technology behind them. So this is playing out in real time, as because the Strait of Hormuz is closed and other things happen on the economic front, and also politically with the midterms coming up, Trump is actually trying to step away from the war, but he's having a hard time because he's doing the dance with Israel. Well, we have to continue to support them because of our relationship with them. In terms of the Strait of Hormuz specifically, because that's causing economic hardship for actual Americans, so that affects our lives. Some people may have noticed not just that the price of the oil per barrel is up over 100. Last episode, I think it was hovering around 99. Now it's at 107. But in terms of how this affects us, affects our wallet, gas was about $2.50, $2.75 just 4 weeks ago, last month, a couple weeks ago. Well, now because the crude oil is so high, a gallon of gas is $4. So people are feeling that as they have to put gallons of gas in their car. Then Iran, outside of just being able to have the military capabilities to fight back against Israel and America, which is surprising, diplomatically, they're making some headway. So they already have Russia and China kind of as their allies or their de facto partners, right? So Russia's been helping them do things militarily to hit various American and Israeli targets. But what the prime minister of Iran has done, because the leader, we haven't seen him, the new Ayatollah, we've heard from him, but we haven't seen him. What the prime minister said from Iran was, okay, Iran has bombed American ships trying to come through and Israeli ships, even if it weren't warships, if it was just ships for gas, because the Strait of Hormuz is where about 20% of the world's oil passes through daily. So what Iran has said is, no, the port itself in the waterway is not closed. It's just closed for American entities. So basically, the situation now is somewhat ironic, actually. Trump has asked the European Union, so that's going to include Germany, that's going to include Britain, that's going to include France and all these people. America and Trump has asked, and even asked China, which I'm not sure why, but they've asked that our allies, America has asked that those countries bring their naval ships to the Strait of Hormuz to help us better navigate through the waterways to help with the passage of the oil so that we can get the oil and pass it through the strait. Well, the European Union, the ones I've seen, Germany said, well, I think Germany said no, but I know Britain hasn't responded. Australia said no. And basically, America's in a situation where they're not, our allies haven't stepped up yet and said they're on our side. And this is because the Iran guy said, we're only against the people who are bombing us. So same situation with the Middle East. They've bombed Americans, not Americans, but American bases. And they've also bombed countries harboring American military. So the same situation is true of the boats trying to pass through the strait. The Iran defense secretary, prime minister is saying if the European unions aren't helping America, they will allow those ships to pass through. So they're saying that it's technically open, just closed to the enemies. So I think that overall, there's a few things going on with this war. Iran is showing better capability definitely than what America thought and Israel thought. What I thought as well, like I've pretty much figured we had already bombed them, and I thought Israel and America we have clearly still better military capabilities, but I thought we were much more advanced, and I didn't know that they had so many drones, and I didn't know that even once their leadership went down, because they lost 50 to 60 actual leaders from the IRC, so they lost significant generals and significant people that were higher up. They're still able to operate and continue bombing and continue running their government and do diplomacy. So they probably have actually, like they've been saying, been preparing for this type of war for, some people say, 30, 40 years. It seems like they actually were prepared for the worst case scenario, and they were prepared to go against America as long as we don't start dropping nuclear bombs. If we want, at the end of the day, if we wanted to obliterate the civilians and just actually take over the country and take over the land, we could, but that would require war. That would require Congress passing the Wars Act, and most likely something like that won't happen. So it just looks like this situation, in the end, America and Israel probably will win. America's actually striking and Israel, they're striking a lot of military assets for Iran. So they're losing ground, they're losing capabilities, they're losing resources, but they're still able to fight. But we shall see, and I'll continue covering this story. We shall see if it actually dies down in the next week or two, because that's what Trump wants. But Israel is talking about at least 3 more weeks at the latest, and that's just for Iran. They just went into Lebanon. So I like to, on this show, separate Israel and America, even though in reality there isn't much separation. It seems as though Israel is planning on a much longer ground attack, and they're I don't want to speculate because I don't like to speculate on this show, but clearly if they're ready for 3 weeks already and America is talking about stopping in 2, I'm sure Israel is prepared to have a months-long war with Iran and Hezbollah and Lebanon and other places. So we'll just continue to follow this story as we learn more about the war as well as the gas prices, because that's really what affects Americans. Similar to the war, but kind of a separate story. As we know, the last Ayatollah died, his son is now leading. But when Netanyahu, Bibi is what they call him, but Benjamin Netanyahu, when the war started, he left Israel, or supposedly he left Israel, but we hadn't seen or heard from him in a long time. So online, at least, there was speculation that he had died. So there was a press conference last week where he spoke, but I don't know if the footage was altered or doctored, but that press conference, there was comments saying that he had 6 fingers. So people were saying that he had died in the explosion where his brother died because Iran actually hit Benjamin Netanyahu's house. So after that press conference, since there was still speculation, this weekend, actually yesterday, Netanyahu posted something on X, and it said he was counting his hands and he was drinking coffee. So I'll actually play that clip for you guys so you can see it yourselves.
מה שאלת אותי?
ראש הממשלה אומרים ברשת שאתה בכלל מת?
אני מת על קפה, אתה יודע מה? אני מת על העם שלי. איך הם מתנהגים, פנטסטי. אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות?
אתה יכול להראות לנו?
פה. פה. היית?
יפה מאוד.
לחיים.
ראש הממשלה מסר לאנשים שיוצאים ומתאווררים?
לצאת להתאוורר, אבל ליד מרחב מוגן. והעמידה שלכם היא מדהימה, נותנת כוח לי, לממשלה, לצה"ל, למוסד. אנחנו עושים דברים שאני לא יכול לשתף ברגע זה, אבל עושים דברים מכים באיראן חזק מאוד, גם ביום הזה, גם בלבנון, ממשיכים. אתם אומרים לי להמשיך? אני אומר לכולכם, גם אתם תמשיכו. תמשיכו להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, כל הזמן, להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, וגם לראשי הערים, להיות תמיד ליד מרחב מוגן. ואנחנו נקל ככל שהדבר ניתן. ותודה לך על הקפה, הוא מצוין. אני לא יודע לגבי הקלוריות, זה נראה לי...
So, okay, back to regular. So that's how he showed his proof of life. Now, with this being an ex-post, and I think I saw it with the translation, so he was speaking in Hebrew, but there was also an American translation. After this came out, the conspiracy theorists still had questions. So then there was a new thing that's been created called Coffeegate. So I'm going to play that video as well. Now, I believe Benjamin Netanyahu is alive. I just wanted to cover this because now we're going to be covering Erica Kirk a little more. Now there are a few more things that we're going to be covering that some would say are conspiratorial, even myself. And the reason why often I don't believe in these conspiracies, and I'm following this one from the jump, I do believe some conspiracies, actually oftentimes aspects of certain things conspiracy theorists say are true. So there's oftentimes truth to what they're saying, but I don't follow them as much as the people who I consider conspiracy theorists. I'm covering this one from the beginning, so I'm going to play the video that people are now saying that the first video I showed you guys was AI, and they're trying to show some things that they believe defy logic. And this is the first part. Is called Coffeegate. They're asking why his coffee. Well, a few things they're asking. They're saying if his coffee's filled to the brim, why isn't there less coffee after he drank it? And they're also asking why his coffee didn't spill. So I'll play that video for you guys. You know, it's funny, but at the same time, you know, people are saying that it's altered. So for one, they're asking why, I guess it's coffee. I drink lattes. They're asking why if it's filled to the brim, it didn't spill over. I mean, the foam part, I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer it myself. The foam part is not the liquid part. There's some elasticity with it. So it's very possible people often have it filled to the top and they don't spill their coffee. Now, there's more to it. I'm going to play the rest of the video for you guys because they weren't done with just the coffee spilling. There's more. So I'll play the next video. Okay, now, so as you guys can see, the coffee didn't spill. Oh, I don't have the one where he took a sip, but then he also took a sip, and they're saying there's not much coffee. There's too much coffee remaining in the cup. How can they tell that from the picture? I don't know, but they're able to see that. But this one is showing the jacket. So what they're saying is that he puts his hand in the jacket and that the jacket moved and he didn't actually put his hand through the jacket. So, I mean, I have jackets. You can put your hand in one of them big fluffy jackets and the jacket will fall down a little bit. I mean, I think that the coffee actually was filled to the brim with the foam. I think he put his hand in his jacket. I think he's alive. He put his hand in his jacket. Then the jacket just kind of fell down a little bit. That's what I think. Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe in a month from now or 2 months from now, they'll say that Bibi Netanyahu died. And if so, I'll come on air and I'll say I was wrong. But this is just an example of why I don't follow the conspiracy theorists. There's the truth, right? His house was hit. His brother died. And nobody had seen him for a while to the press conference. The other leader was hit, the Ayatollah. Khamenei, I think is his name. But then I guess his son is also Khamenei, if that's their last name. He was in the same building his father was when his father was killed, but he was not on the same floor. So he is alive, but they haven't seen him because many people are speculating, not conspiracy theorists, but people who are, I won't call them experts, but people who have knowledge about both sides, like the people inside the governments are saying that the son was hit, so he may not be in the best of shape, but he is alive. So, but again, I brought that up just to say that all of these stories have some truth to it. So maybe, well, I don't know, maybe in a month from now, we'll find out that the Ayatollah's son also was killed. But at this current moment, I believe that he is alive and he just may not be in the best physical predicament or best physical health. Now, a lot of this stuff is not exactly the same, but now I'm about to cover Tucker Carlson, who some people call him a conspiracy theorist, but he's a conservative talking figure. He used to be very pro-Trump. He used to be big on Fox News, somewhat more moderate conservative when he was on Fox. He was just family guy, was talk about crime, talk about socioeconomics, talk about education, etc. But when he branched off, he got in trouble for something that he said that was kind of out there. He got sued, I believe, and then Fox let him go. As he went on his own and became an independent journalist, to me, I've noticed a shift. He's less moderate. He's more so towards the extremes, but then also I'm not going to say he's backed by Qatar, but I'll say that it seems that he's more pro-Islam than he was before. He is a Christian. He's always been pro-Christianity, but he was never as against Judaism and not as open to Islam as a few people on the right are. I can think of Theo Vaughn. I can think of Jake Shields. There's just a few people who they are still, well, I don't know if Jake's a Christian, but there are a few people who are still Christians and speak about Christianity, but they used to lean more so to Israel, and now they lean more so to Islam. And my belief is that when Trump allowed Qatar and other Muslims, the UAE, Egypt, etc., more of a voice in the political sphere in America, I believe that those entities started not just paying for lobbyists with the politicians, but they've also ingratiated themselves with some of the talking figures. So that is why I believe that you see more support somewhat online and potentially in America for Islam, is because that's just the way the game is going. The people that people are listening to are now more willing to speak about Islam in a positive light. And many of them say that they're speaking positive about Islam because Islam's not trying to hurt us, and it's more the Jews trying to hurt us. Now, to cover the specific Tucker situation, he's now actually being investigated by the CIA. He came out with a clip. Let me pause this even though it's not playing. He came out with a clip on X following the launch of Epic Fury, which is the name of America's, not the war, but just what we called us attacking them. So Tucker says that the CIA is investigating him. They're saying he was acting as a foreign agent. And what happened was Tucker was speaking to Iran and other Muslim leaders. And he's saying that the CIA, and he says, you hear it in the clip, he also says this happened to him before, but he's saying the CIA got wind of what he was talking to Qatar, Iran, and other nations about. And they're saying that he gave them not necessarily classified information, but he gave them information that could have hurt military troops. So Tucker still talks to President Trump, and they actually had some memes where people were saying Trump tricked Tucker Carlson and gave him the information. Tucker gave it to the enemy, and then that's how America's troops weren't hurt, because they knew that Tucker was going to give the information and they were going to try to intercept it. So it was kind of like a big setup, but I'll let you hear it in Tucker's own words. And basically Tucker's saying the reason I also don't think this is going to go far, but Tucker doesn't think it's going to go far because he says he's not an asset. He hasn't been paid by any foreign governments. He had no information to leak. I do think he was talking to these people, but I basically think that journalists speak to the opposing sides. They've been interviewing these people for years. They have relationships. They have relationships with our side, the other side, etc. So I believe that what Tucker is being accused of is very innocent. He's literally just interviewing people, talking to people, and they share information. I don't actually believe that Tucker Carlson was trying to set up American soldiers. I just think he was talking to them about things, and then when some of it played out, Tucker's not in charge of the military. He didn't send them off to do it. The Trump or whoever was in charge of that mission did. But thankfully, nobody was hurt. I'm more so thinking that the CIA actually, now I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm more so thinking that it's possible that America, because of the war, is now going to be, not, you could say censoring, but clamping down on some of the pro-Islamic voices, right? So we're in an actual war, and I don't think the Republican Party or the president wants too many Americans to be pro-Islam, not pro-Islam, but pro-Iran, pro-Gaza, etc. during this war. I think that they feel like if that happens, it'll be less support for Israel, which I think we're tied to Israel, and Trump doesn't want that. And I also think the Republicans just don't want to lose office. They don't want to be seen as like, oh, the American people believe the war is wrong. And if they believe the war is wrong, they want us out of office. So I think what's going to happen some kind of way, I don't know if everybody's going to get investigated, but I do think there's going to be an effort by our government to at least monitor more closely these talking heads so that America doesn't lose the situation on the ground. At the end of the day, like I said, we have freedom of speech here, but I know everything comes with a limit. You can't say fire in a building or at a plane station. Can't say bomb. It's certain things that they're gonna be watching. We can protest against the war, but they definitely just don't want us to. They don't want a situation like Vietnam. They don't want everybody out here protesting and being totally against the war. But it was enough talking for me, guys. Let me pull up this clip so you guys can hear.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living, and I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this, but it happens all the time.
So he continues along this line, and this is true. They're going to say they're spying on the other people and that they come across American citizens talking to those other people. But basically what he's saying about the war touches on the spying touches on what I mentioned earlier before the clip. With all that's going on, they've had a couple terrorist attacks. I guess it would kind of start. They had the synagogue got bombed, and a classroom, somebody came, not bombed, they ran a car into it, and then somebody came in the classroom with a gun. So basically they're going to be monitoring things more closely. And what he is saying is they're going to find more information from American citizens. And what I'm saying is that because they're monitoring more closely and because they don't want to lose the situation on the ground, basically they're going to use that to clamp down on what Tucker is saying, or even somebody like myself. There's some people who are considered like independent journalists, and they would say, well, we're just trying to report the news. We're just trying to find the facts. We're looking at sources. We're going to find what we can online. We're going to talk to the people we can who have knowledge, who are part of these organizations, etc. We're just trying to find out what is actually going on. But the American government may potentially say, oh, no, you're talking to them to find out what's going on. But in doing so, if you say the wrong things before to them, it'll be like what happened with Tucker. But even also after, they may say things like these, I use X, I'm on there a lot, but influencers across platforms. If the influencers meet with these governments or just meet with other influencers from these entities, other nations, if our influencers start saying the same thing that their influencers are saying, the government may say, oh, you're spinning propaganda from those places. So they're going to say our influencers can't say X and X because all our influencers, the government is going to say all our influencers are doing is saying what that government wants you to say. So you're basically committing treason against America. So the reason why I wanted to cover this on this show is to explain to people how things can eventually go if the war drags on. They'll take people like Tucker, but other people who are just pro. It could be somebody from the Young Turks. It doesn't have to be a conservative. It could be somebody on the liberal side. If you start agree, they may already agree with the other side. But what America may try to do is they may try to take away our freedom and ability to say so, because they're going to say that the people saying it are saying it at the behest of the other government. So again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but since we'll be covering some conspiracies now, I'm kind of trying to touch on how it gets very tricky. How does someone know that Tucker doesn't already have a view and that he's just sharing his view? How can the government say, oh, we caught you talking to Iran, so since you're talking to them, the stuff you're saying on your show is what they want you to say? It's just a very tricky line, and that's why it's hard to prove conspiracies wrong, but it's also hard to prove them true, because who knows other than the people involved what the real intent is. So that's mostly what we're going to cover today. But again, as this goes on, I'm sure more conspiracy theories will come up and more information will come out about the war and the various players. We're going to end the show talking about some but me reacting to some Nick clips. This is one. There's a lot of irony happening in today's show. This is one where Nick talks about how Joe Biden's foreign policy is better than Trump. So Nick voted for Trump at least once. I might have voted for him 2 or 3 times, and Nick is known to be on the conservative Republican side, at least for voting. So now, as I told you guys weeks ago, or maybe months ago now, since the show wasn't running for a while, there's been some changes happening in both parties, right? So Nick is openly now saying he would potentially vote for Gavin Newsom. He's now saying that Joe Biden had better foreign policy than Trump. This all does not fall in line with the traditional Republican or even conservative beliefs.
So this has all been going on. And you know what's interesting? Do you know who stood in the way of all of this? Just a fact. Just a fact. Don't let me inconvenience you. Do you know who stood in the way of this entire thing? Joe Biden. Joe Biden did. Because Joe Biden did not take the bait. He didn't take Israel's bait and fight Iran. He had 2 opportunities. When Israel provoked Iran in April 24 and in July 24, Joe Biden deterred Iran but did not attack them. It was Biden's National Security Council. It was Democrats in the Senate that tried to constrain U.S. weapons supplies to Israel. They wouldn't give Israel 2,000-pound bombs. And when Joe Biden got in, the first thing he tried to do was reconstitute a nuclear deal with Iran. Go figure. That was the first thing he tried to do. What happened in August 2023? Just 2 months before October 7th, Joe Biden had a prisoner exchange with Iran and unfroze $6 billion in assets that were tied up in a South Korean bank that then made their way to Qatar and were on their way to Iran. Because Joe Biden was trying to make a grand bargain. It was under Joe Biden that China brokered a rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which is a diplomatic revolution. So think of Trump ripped up the nuclear deal. Trump killed Soleimani. Trump designated the IRGC a terrorist group. Trump allowed Israel to annex all of Jerusalem and declare it its capital, which set the stage for Al-Aqsa flood, which set the stage for what is happening. Trump oversaw the repassing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Actually, I think it was renewed under Obama, just before. Can't blame everything on Trump, but he set the stage for all of this. Biden tried to interrupt it, and then Trump was brought back to resume. And the Jews didn't even want him. The Jews wanted DeSantis, then they wanted Haley. Finally, they settled on Trump, and then they were all in. And now you see why. 8-front war. They can't fight it alone. They can't fight on 8 fronts alone. They're a tiny, pathetic country of 8 million people. You think they can fight all these enemies all at the same time? They can't. They need us. That's why the 8th front is the most important. They needed a revolution in America, color revolution in the United States, so that we would sponsor all of this.
So a few things. Some of what he said about Biden was true. Some of what he said about Trump is true. But I want to go back to Obama just because I want to state that it was he who worked on the diplomacy with Iran and gave him money and set up the original nuclear deal to where we could at least monitor the uranium. So we were monitoring the uranium, and then like Nick said, Trump came, destroyed that deal. Then they said after we no longer had a deal, they're building up uranium. I guess so. We canceled the deal on them. Again, he said Biden tried to go back into that with the prisoner swap, etc. But then Trump came back in the game. We started bombing more people. He's bringing up the Israel. It probably has a lot to do with Israel, but in terms of this clip, I consider Nick a grifter, and I have said these things because other positions he's changed his. As if you've been following the show, you've seen other things that he's changed his position on. He's not as conservative as he said. He's not as for the Republicans as he said, etc. And this is another example of had he just told the truth years ago about Obama, Trump, and these various people, there were some good things that they were doing. That does not mean that Nick necessarily would have voted for Joe Biden. It doesn't mean that he would have voted for Obama. But the fact remained that a lot of times there were positive things that the Democrats were doing. He knew it, didn't comment on it because he was in cahoots with the Republicans at the time. He thought they would put his guys in. He thought he would have a stronger say. He thought even if he didn't have a stronger say, they would have done what he wanted. So now that what he wants is not being done, he's sitting here saying facts that Democrats and liberals and other people already knew. So I just find that like ironic. Now, again, he said the truth about the various things that diplomacy does. So earlier in the episode, maybe I should have covered the reason diplomacy is important, and sometimes what Barack and Joe did by not showing military force, but giving money or working on different relationships with other nations, like saying we'll open up our country for this, or we won't close down so-and-so's country and we'll allow them to continue to work with Iran. Because even that is diplomacy, right? We can control who Iran works with to an extent other than Russia and China. But if we don't even if we don't deal with Iran specifically, if we at least allow the European Union and other people to work with them, it affects our relationship with Iran because Iran's aware that if we wanted to shut them down, we could. This is important because maybe you don't like the Iran regime, but you don't want war. You don't want the gas prices going up. And you just feel that though it's the better of two evils from the situation. America's not perfect. Iran's not perfect. Israel's not perfect. You're not going to get a situation where at least me, I can't speak for other people. You're not going to get a situation where you can say, I'm with America, and if America wins, the whole world's perfect. Or I'm with Iran, if Iran wins, the whole world is perfect. To me, there are bigger issues, and I guess I won't touch on it too much in this reaction, but all of the governments need some changes, right? The people at the top. So because I don't think anyone's perfect, I think that diplomacy, keeping soldiers healthy, not healthy, keeping them alive, limiting civilian deaths. There's civilians dying on both sides in all three countries, or more than three countries, fooling with Israel. So basically, it's just diplomacy may not stop the uranium. It may have not stopped the nuclear capabilities. And at some point, it's always tough, guys. At some point, I know what Trump people are going to say. At some point, if they're trying to build uranium and get bombs, you got to deal with it. But I'll close on this. 6 months ago, we obliterated the situation. So it's just it's very unlikely that after we obliterated their capabilities 6 months ago, they already built them back up. So I'll go on to the next clip for you guys. It's also another Nick clip. Let's see what he's talking about. Okay, this is something totally different. Doesn't seem as political. Nick is white pilled by the rise of white-ass niggas going hard as fuck all over America.
Since the Mexicans did their C-State Way Day walkout bullshit a couple weeks ago, we now have Jews in our small, very white village saying that we should all be focused on Muslims, not Hispanics. We do not even have one Muslim in our village, but we are supposed to be united against Iran, because that's the real enemy.
Well, my rich white high school friend, so fucking based. Well, if you're rich and you're in the area, then you're probably in the North Shore with all the Jews, I'm guessing. You're probably up in what, Highland Park or Lake Forest or Winnetka or something. Probably not Skokie, but that's all Jewish. Yeah, isn't that so typical? And don't you see it now live and up close and in person? Stay strong, rich white high school Chad. Dude, that's so awesome. That is such a relief. When I see all these young white guys at James Fishback rallies and they recognize me on the streets, it's like, dude, my niggas got me. White-ass niggas are running fucking wild everywhere. That's what is required. Brylan Hollyhand is a bitch. He is a pussy. We need fishback clones. We need Fuentes clones. We need based, red-pilled, white-ass niggas going crazy. We need you to become who you are. We need you to become like a white jihadist, practically. Not like terrorism, but I mean, like a religious zealot and like a racial warrior, but in a white way, like a legionary, like a Roman legion. Not like, not like a suicide 85 IQ bomber, but like a superhero. So, love it.
Jamal Chang sent $20.
W.
Why is it rich white HS Bro Chad Bronco sent $20? Lots of young guys listen to you around here. None of us listen to Joe Rogan or Theo Von. That is
Let's
Gen X
go.
and millennial trash.
Let's go.
Plus, Joe Rogan is a literal cuckold. He has a half-black daughter. Wife was with a black rapper. A teacher brought you up the other day because of Chicago article and everyone knew who you were.
No way! That's awesome, dude. This is white pilling as fuck. This is because, I do the show and sometimes I'm like, I'm just a chud. Like, I'm just a chud doing this dumbass show for political nerds. And who even cares? But then I see young white people love the show and I'm like, okay, like that gives me hope. That gives me a lot of hope. That fills me with determination. All of a sudden, I'm filled with determination. So thank you. Thank you. Love to hear it. We love the homies. I love high schoolers. I love high schoolers. I'm here to meet a high schooler. Pause. No, I'm kidding. He's here to meet a 15-year-old. No, I'm kidding. But hey, W's in the chat. Big shout out. But hey, hide your power level. Be careful. Hide your power level. Don't tell your teachers. Don't tell your tutors that you're a fucking groiper. Don't tell them that you're a white ass nigga. Keep that shit on the DL, okay? Word to the wise. You don't want them to clock you. You don't want them to clock it. Don't let them clock it, okay? But that's awesome. That's a white pill.
Yeah, so this is a little lighthearted. So I know I don't know. I have never really seen anybody on camera other than me really telling white people they can say nigga. Like, I really don't care about that. I think everybody should go hard. I believe in freedom of speech. Everybody should go hard, saying whatever it is they want as long as they're not trying to hurt anybody or harm anybody or degrade anybody, right? So if he calling himself a nigga, whatever, even if he was talking about other people and he means it in the way that, like I say, black people mean nigger as friend, niggas comes from king. I just think it can be in terms of an endearment. And if that's how people mean it amongst themselves or other racial groups, I'm way more open than other people. I already know white people. I'm not telling you go call black people nigga. They're not going to be open like me. Might turn into something violent. But what I am saying is that this is lighthearted. I see he's playing amongst his people. I do agree with that. People should be themselves, right? So my thing is, if you want to fight real racism, it's not about telling white people don't say nigga when clearly we know they say it in private, especially the younger generation, and they're saying it to one another as a joke. So I even bring up Morgan Wallen. He once got in trouble. He's talking to some guy at a party and he called the white guy a nigga. And it's like, clearly he says it in private. They talk like that. He's talking to his friend. So it's just going to show you that not only do white people know how to use the word, they're using it correctly. I won't bring up Lily this time, but they're using it correctly amongst friends. So I'm willing to be friends with the white people and the black people, and I'm comfortable with everybody saying it around me. But I understand the races are not ready to be friends. I just would like to put out there the thought and put out there the energy. Maybe as black people and I would say other races, because not just blacks, we're talking about the N-word, but there are other slurs and other words that people know, like gay. I'll use gay. Clearly, when people say something is gay and retarded, it is not because I'm saying I have a problem with homosexuals. It's a term that, at least I was born in the 90s, the last 30 years, gay would just mean like bad, off. I get the gay people are going to say it's because it's about them, but it's past that now. Like not everybody, but I'm cool with homosexuals. Like, your sexuality isn't the issue. It's just that's how the term is used in colloquialism. So we understand that. You throw like a girl. Colloquialism. That's my nigga. Whoever you're talking about too, if that's your guy, that's your nigga, right? So I know nobody else is here with me and Nick. You know, we're the ones talking on camera. We're talking about how things should be or could be, but I just definitely think that I'm not in support of Nick, but I am in support of everybody having fun. I'll close the reaction on this. He's saying that he wants more white people to be themselves unapologetically. I'm cool with that. They've had plenty of people, at least I tell you guys I'm active on X. So there's many people who are now on X say, I'm proud to be white. That's wonderful. I love their tweets. Like I love when the black people say they're. I don't love the pro-black in a negative way or the pro-white in a negative way. But when you can clearly see people are just saying, "I'm proud of me. I'm not gonna like me. I have this is this." I still am going on the show wear different kind of shirts, dress up shirts, but I wear my t-shirt. Well, that's what I'm comfortable in. If that's what I'm comfortable in, I came up in New Orleans. We got a little urban, more laid back style. Be proud of who you are. Be you. So that's all I'm saying is that I see where Nick and them are coming from. I have anybody paying attention in America understands that of all the groups, Black, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, etc., most groups can like say when their group has a problem or a perceived problem. Even if the problem's not real, those groups are allowed to share, even Asians. Everyone's allowed to share if they have a belief. But the one group who can't share is the white people, because when they share what they think, not saying what they think is true, when they share what they think, they're going to be called the racist. When they share what they think, they're going to be told, no, everything's set up for you. You have the white privilege, etc., etc. So not saying that there can't be any white privilege, but what I am saying is that they should at least be allowed to speak. At this point, it's in the public sphere. That's the one group who still, when they're trying to get some of their idea, well, I'm not gonna say the one group. This still happens to other groups, but it's different. Everyone already knows blacks are minority. People know Hispanics are minority. People know Jews are minority. Because they're minorities, people are at least sympathetic and at least open to hearing them to a degree. Whereas the one group who is the majority, no one really wants to hear them. And that's the thing. It's like, because white people are a majority, nobody can be against y'all. Y'all have the minority. Nobody can be against y'all. Y'all own this. Y'all own that. Y'all have this. Y'all have that. It's like they have a lot of things, but the one thing they don't have is they don't have the ability to say, look, we see these problems. We experience this. Can we tell y'all what we're experiencing? And everybody just turns, kind of, I'm not going to say turn their nose up, but just turns their head away, closes their ear, and is like, we're not going to listen to you guys. So yeah, this was just a lighthearted, oh no. He'll be able to fix it. He will definitely be able to fix it. I'll have to tell him because it goes. So guys, basically what happens is we record. I'm just going to tell you guys. So we recorded the show, screen recorded, but then this part is a different type of recording. So the recording part went away. So I'm hoping that he catches the screen recording so we don't have to screen record this again. And I'll just do the comments and he can just maybe take a screenshot. And he'll probably cut this, guys. I got I'm not going to say ADD, but I just literally say what I think. And he's going to say nobody wanted to hear what the fuck our technical difficulties were. Also, if you like today's show, since it's all fucked up now, if you like the show, subscribe, hit like, share it with friends. Talk when you're around classmates, if you're in school, college, etc. If you're around classmates, tell them about the show. We want more people to watch. We want to know you guys' thoughts. Please comment. What do you guys think? Whether you're white or black. See? Whether you're white, black, Asian, I don't care your race. What do you guys feel about white people saying nigga? That's something interesting. I actually would like to know, what do people feel about white people saying nigga? What do people feel about non-gay people, gay and retarded? Do we think that saying gay and retarded is okay? Or do we feel that saying gay and retarded is bashing homosexuals and bashing people who have Down syndrome or who are slow, right? When I call someone retarded, I never think about someone with Down syndrome. I'm more so just saying, oh, you're saying something that's low IQ, something that's stupid. You know, it's a joke, right? In all seriousness, clearly people who have Down syndrome are they're great people. They actually are better than most people who don't have Down syndrome. They're very kind. They're more honest. They're more upfront. So yeah, I don't feel sorry for people with Down syndrome. I look up to them. They're great people. I gotta work on the rants, guys. I know I just be going off. The producer stepped out, and now I'm acting a little bit too much like me, being too unapologetically me. We have Enrique Garcia, 2612, commenting to America first or Israel first. Trump being a traitor. A pedophile defending a war criminal gang of Zionists. He's talking about Trump. So there's speculation that Trump may have slept with some minor females with the Epstein stuff. And then he's saying he's defending Netanyahu. Netanyahu, I don't think he's tied to anything. Oh, he was just saying Netanyahu's a Zionist. Okay. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know if Trump is a sexual predator or not. This is Sub-Saharan. These are funny names. Enrique, I'm assuming Hispanic. Now, this person is Sub-Saharan primitive primate, so it's not someone black. It's probably someone white trying to make fun of someone black. That's also to the same video. He is a traitor to America and a hero to Israeli Zionists. Okay, these are just people saying that they don't support what Trump is doing. I'm not surprised. Most Americans don't, and these people are probably on the extreme right. So yes, they would be very against what Trump is doing that is probably benefiting Israel and plans Israel has. Marcus Vaughn, some very good and intelligent answers, sir. I think he's talking about me, hopefully. I appreciate that, Marcus Vaughn. Please subscribe to the show. Please leave more comments. Say what you think. Don't hold back. Keep up the good work. We all in this together. God bless you. My brother, my nigga, my guy. We have She Must Braddock. She Amused Braddock. 684. This is to white ass niggas going hard as fuck. Okay, so the topic today. You sound big mad, big mad. Well, I'm not big mad about white ass niggas going hard as fuck. I may be mad about other things Nick says, because again, I think he grifts. We have Note Pick Gaming 8040. This is to something else with Nick that was recent about Zionism. So many words, but only one thing matters is this. What the Jews are doing to Palestine is what they will do to anyone that is not Jewish. Maybe there's a lot to unpack. I do think that the Palestinians should be able to stay in whatever you want to call it. Palestine, Israel, I don't care. They're from there. I actually believe that the Jewish people, not all, but many of them, or a portion of them, are legitimately Jews, and they should be able to live there too. But both sides have to agree to live there in peace. We can't have people from Gaza being jihadists and blowing up Israeli people, but we can't have Israeli people blowing up Palestinians. So this is just a two-side problem. But yes, I'm following the government, the leadership. There are certain people who are Israeli who don't care. They'll kill any Gaza, and they just want to take the land. I don't support that. This is another Nick Fuentes on the heritage versus nationalism debate. What a shitty ass channel. Damn, bro, watch some of the other content. I feel like if you give a nigga a chance, you might see that I'm fair to everybody. Maybe if you watch this episode, you'll see that I'm not racist. I'm just more objective. So if you have something, this is Cillian or Murphy. If you have something that's funny, whether you're racist or not, right? Because I don't even like Nick, but he's funny. If you're funny, you're welcome to this show. But then also, if you have good information and ideas you want to share, you might be surprised that I'm open to any logical, objective thing, whether it's pro-Democrats, against Democrats, pro-blacks, against blacks, pro-women, against women, pro-white men. I don't care. I try to treat everyone the same. I'll get two more and then we'll be done for today. This is another Nick Fuentes. Okay, so we've started the show back. It's older things, but it's still Nick. We're going to keep with the Nick reactions. People like the Nick reactions. Or just talking about what Nick is talking about. People like that content. Nick, this is race baiting. Reels. It says this is a really old clip back when Nick was in college. He's like 18. Okay, so we probably had some new clips and old clips. Looking back, it's funny the crowd thinking they are all about to shut him down by calling them racist. They really had no idea what they were dealing with. This catches a lot of people. I mean, that caught those people back in the day. They thought that he would get canceled for his racism. He actually just got bigger because he kept telling his truth and it resonated with a lot of people. So at this point, what I've been telling people across races, across ideologies, etc., we're not going to stop nobody, right? So if people telling the truth or either if they telling the truth or saying what other people believe is true, no matter what censorship you do, it's going to be big. So the best thing to do is just let everybody have their voice, let everybody speak, and let's try to get some of these different people or different ideologies that differ. Let's get them in debates or just in forums where we can hear both sides and let the people decide which do we really believe, which is more logical. Is there compromise? What I honestly think would happen, and I'm a big person on compromise and the moderate, I think that if you pin in Nick and myself or Jake Shields and the Anna Casparo person or various other people, Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you put these people in conversations in front cameras and let them speak, they have differences, and those differences will come up. I think Jasmine called Marjorie beach blonde. I think Marjorie called her ghetto and all this. There are going to be moments of tension, but then there are going to be things. I think Jasmine and Marjorie eventually said they didn't support Israel, right? And they don't support big government or certain aspects of big government. So I think if you let people talk, what ends up happening, and work on my voice, guys. I'm more conscious of my behavior since everybody keeps talking about IQ and impulse control. But when people talk, we'll see that we're more alike than different. And I think it'll make the country stronger when we can get back to policy differences. So once Marjorie and Jasmine stop calling each other names and they say, oh, we just disagree on certain policies, but the other policies we agree on, the things we agree on, we can improve, make the country stronger. And then where we disagree, at least we'll know it's a policy disagreement and we don't have to worry about, hey, someone shooting up a school, or hey, someone getting in a fight, or hey, someone trying to take something away from someone to hurt them. It's like we'll see that we're Americans, we're all friends, we're all Americans, we're one culture, we're one people. My whole thing with diversity, we can be different races but still be American. We can be different sexes but still be human beings, different sexualities but still pray to the same or different gods. My whole thing is no matter what the difference is, there's many other things that we are similar. So I want us to fall back on that. And the last one is Mark 2:2, Islam can't win wars. I probably shouldn't have ended on that because if we have somebody who maybe is a Muslim, etc., they wouldn't like that, and I don't agree with that. So Islam can win wars. They just probably won't win a war against America and Israel because we just have more military capabilities. But yes, I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and soon we'll be starting up the real show. So peace. Talk to you guys tomorrow. If you like this video, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. New shows airing Monday through Thursday.